Hi, welcome to my channel. 2 years ago when I bought my GSG-16 rifle, it came with a 522 conversion kit for free. Yes, you heard me. It came with a conversion kit for free. I recall paying a total of $500 Canadian to my door for both the rifle and the conversion kit. And I also recall going on eBay, seeing there's a couple of conversion kit you could have bought for $25 to $30 US. Today, however, you'll be hard-pressed to find one for $300 US. So yeah, those prices, those days of cheap conversion kit is long gone. So let's talk about the conversion kit, the GSG-522 conversion kit. This is what it looks like. This is the content, and it's originally meant for a 522, and it's supposed to convert the 522 back to a GSG-5. Okay, but it'll also work for a GSG-16. The only piece that will not work is this top piece right here. Okay, that's right there. But the rest of the pieces will work. Okay, but in my opinion, the most valuable piece in this whole kit is this charging tube right there at the bottom. The charging tube and the front side combo. That's the most valuable. And the second is the grip, is the most valuable. The rest, yeah, you can do without them. Okay, a good example is the charging handle right here. It's made out of aluminum. A few MP5 slaps and they'll be broken off easily. And then there is the mag catch. Okay, this mag catch right there. Now that was a pain to install, so I wouldn't even bother with that. It does have a distinct looking selector. You can do without that. It's kind of small and has a few front sights. It has a sling ring. So basically, you know, all those pieces are not really that important. The only real important pieces are the charging tube and the grip. So today, what I'm going to do is show you how to make those two pieces. Okay. Let's start off with let's talk about the grip. You can use your existing grip from a GSG-16 and modify that into a MP5 grip. I will do that later. But let's talk about the charging tube. This is an airsoft charging tube made by ICS. It's actually made in China. However, I scoured all the internet airsoft company in China, even Singapore and Malaysia. There is none. But I managed to find one in United Kingdom at a reasonable price. And to my door, it cost me $50 Canadian. So that is quite reasonable. So let's talk about what it came with. It came with a plastic charging, I guess this is part of the charging, it kind of goes in here like that. Okay, it's made out of plastic, kind of short. Actually goes in there like this. Okay. And it's obviously different than the 522 conversion kit. And here I can even compare the difference. There's quite a bit of difference there, and I can tell that I actually use this as an example. This is the GSG-16. That the hole for the barrel is quite different. Of course, this is for a 6mm pellet, and this is for a 22. So the hole for the barrel is quite different. And under the charging tube, there's a whole bunch of this piece here. I don't know what it does, but that's different. And so let me take it apart. It does have a sling ring, which is a good thing. Here, I'll take it apart. so you guys can see what you're actually getting. There's a nut, and I'm going to push out the sling ring. A little hard. There it is. And then you turn this cover. And on this cover there is an O-ring. And then this front sight comes forward. And there it is. Okay, now this piece, it has a fixed front sight post. Okay, you can't put another front sight, so you can't adjust the height. This is fixed. And there is a small set screw in the bottom to hold your barrel in. And then this is the charging tube itself. All these pieces, except for this piece, is made out of aluminum alloy. This is made of plastic, but all the rest is made of alloy. Now this is for my GSG-16, and this is made out of steel, the piece that the charging handle goes into. And I'm going to insert that into this Airsoft ICS charging tube. And guess what? It does not fit. It's a bit too small. Okay, and even if it did fit, so I need to check to see how far this goes in. Now the dimension is about the same. It's about the same length. Okay, actually it's not the same length. It's a bit shorter than the GSG-16 if you look at it, but from the back end to where the slot for the charging handle is the same distance. And I even measured to make sure the center of the barrel to the center of the tube are both the same, and they are. And so therefore this has to go, let's see if one, and this is all the way in, it's about 3/4, 5/8 to 3/4 sticking out like here. So I have to make sure it goes, there's enough. Yes, it actually ends up about right here. So that's good. This diameter is 16 millimeter, so I need to drill a hole deeper, 16 millimeter. So I'll be back. Okay, I went to my son's yesterday. I tried to use his drill press so I could ream out this ICS charging tube. Unfortunately, his drill press is a bit small, so now I'm kind of forced now to do it by freehand using a hand drill. Now, this is the setup. Put the ICS charging tube in a vise, protected against the jaws. You don't want these kind of marks on your charging tube. Make sure it's secure but not too tight, and notice that it's secured at this point, not by the tube. Tube is slightly bigger. You will probably crush that. Okay, so that's what you need to do. Make sure it's level on all sides, and it is. Yeah, make sure it's all level, nice and straight. Now this GSG-16 tube, I guess it is part of the charging tube. Inside the charging tube, measure the front part, measures about 16 millimeter, actually 16 millimeter. So I'm going to be using a 16 millimeter drill bit, and I'm supposed to go down, not all the way down, maybe about a ½ inch from this part where it tapers off. Okay, about a ½ inch above, a quarter to a ½ inch above that. I'll do a more measurement as I get closer. So this is what's gonna look like. Now when I'm drilling, I'm gonna have to have a fairly good control over the drill bit. So take it little at a time. And I'm also gonna oil the drill bit, oil it, and so therefore I'm gonna have to place some napkins so the oil doesn't get all over the floor and everywhere. So do little at a time, not too much, okay? Now if you don't happen to have a 16mm, you can use a 5/8, but then you need to sand the interior a little bit more to get it up to 16mm. So we're all ready to go. Don't forget to oil the drill bit. Okay, so I'm going to put the camera down and put on a mount. Okay, start placing oil on the inside. Oh, gotta make sure it doesn't drip onto the floor. I'll put a napkin just below that. I'm also gonna put oil on the drill bit itself. Now remember, go very slow. And I'm gonna step up on a stool so I would have a better control over. Oh, and the back of my drill, I put a bubble so I could ensure I am as straight as possible. Okay, remember I'm just going to do a little at a time. Okay, it seems to be working. You see all this black guck from the oil. So it is, that's all the aluminum and the paint that was there. So I'm going to put more oil. Okay, once in a while when you pull it out to put more oil, check the inside to make sure that you're drilling evenly and not going off to the side. And I can see that I'm fairly even. Okay, I'm almost there. And you know, clean the shavings as much as you can, as often as you can. I like to put a patch, and I like to push it down like this. Push it down further, like so the previous patch would come out looking like this. And try to wipe the drill bit as often as you can too, because it gets black really easily. Oil it frequently, and of course this aluminum charging tube gets hot really fast, so try to take a break as often as you can and let it cool down before you start again. You don't want to get it too hot to a point where the finishings start to peel off or melt away. So try to you know, cool it as often as you can. And then what I can do is just dab some wood cloth. So far it's taken me about an hour and I'm almost there. Found out that I really didn't need this bubble after all, so I think I'm just going to remove it because it's a fairly close fit, so it's pretty good. I'm just going to leave that there. Also, what I found out is that using a 16mm wasn't quite good enough. It actually only goes about a couple of inches, but I need it to go down about 4.5 inches. So I'm almost there. Here it is. Use plenty of oil. And I need to get up to about 1/2 inch past this ledge. Okay, so I'm actually pretty close. I am almost at the ledge. There. I think I'm there. I'm going to wipe this black stuff and the sheathing off. I'm going to use a flashlight to check. Yeah, it looks pretty good. And I'm going to have to measure how far I went from the drill bit to about 1/2 inch. Yeah, I think I'm pretty close. I already measured this, and this is at the mark I made. Yep, this is 4 3/8. And I think I'm at 4 3/8 right now. Yep, I'm pretty close. Once I reach the proper depth of the tube, using the 16mm drill bit, I dry the inside of the tube, and now I'm going to use the same 16mm. Yep, it didn't actually fit, it was a little snug, so I'm going to use the same 16mm drill bit to ream the inside. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go like this. And you can actually see here, I'll move the camera this way. You can actually see shaving spitting out from the side from here. Okay, now before reaming it out, I had difficulty putting this in, and now it's going in quite smoothly. Also, it now reached the depth. I am almost done with the charging tube. Once I finished reaming it, I kind of felt the inner tube was kind of gritty going in and out. So what I did is to sand the inside of the tube. And what I used is a shotgun cleaning rod. I cut a slot, okay, and I slipped a sandpaper in between. And now I'll fold it like this, wrap it around the cleaning rod, and I was able to slide it into the charging tube, and that's how I smoothen the inside of the charging tube. And that's how I do it. This is 150 grit. Next I would be using 400. Okay. Once I'm happy with the smoothness of the tube, next thing I have to work on is this barrel hole. Okay. And this barrel is 12 millimeter, and you need to drill this hole to 12 millimeter. Since I didn't have a 12 millimeter drill bit, I used a 15/32 drill bit. It works just fine. Okay. Okay, after I got that done, I have to work on the flash hider hole, and flash hider happened to be 15 millimeter, and the hole was just shy of 15 millimeter, and you could either use a 15 millimeter drill bit, or you could sand this down, okay, just a little bit, remove the O-ring first, sand this down and slide it in. Okay, that's what you need to do. Okay, now once you're done with the charging tube, next is the grip you have to work on. Now, I did a video on how to convert one of these GSG-16 grip to an MP5 grip. I'll attach that to the end of the video. But in the meantime, thanks to the GSG-16 Facebook group, one of those guys, a couple of guys recommended getting one of these, which is, it's only like $12, $13 US. And it came with, believe it or not, a selector on top of that. So for you guys, this is a lot easier than doing what I did, okay? But if you can't find one of these, then by all means, you know, make one yourself. This happened to be a GSG-5 grip, okay? And if you can't find a GSG-5 grip, then get an ICS grip. It'll work too. But the important part is to make sure that you have a hole for the pin. Okay, this part is nice to have because this slides into the receiver, this top part, but there are some other ones that have just the hole, but that'll work too. Okay, that'll work. But then there are some that has no holes, just a piece of plate in the bottom. Those you don't want to get. So you do want to get the one with the holes, preferably with the hole and this piece up here. Okay, and this happens to be a GSG-5, and it's like $13 US. Trust me, it's not worth modifying one of these. Okay, I spent a couple hours doing that, so it's not even worth it. You know, go buy it. Okay, so now this is all done. I'm gonna install them onto the GSG-16. Let's start with the grip. I'm going to take one of these and I'm going to put this in. Now I put this rubber band because it has a tendency to fly off. So I put my thumb here right now. So make sure nothing flies off. And here I'm just holding on to it. And I'm going to slide this straight in. And it should fit, of course. GSG-5. There it is. It slides perfectly, and it fits right into this cut here too. Now I'm going to use, instead of using a GSG-16 selector, this grip came with an MP5 selector. I'm going to use this. And the shaft is identical, so nothing. Okay, take the selector, the one with the shaft, slide it on the right side. Okay, like this. Okay, hold on to it. Take the one without the shaft and put it like this. And take the screw that came with it, and it has a small Phillips head. And screw that in. There. Good. It works. Okay. Everything looks good. All right. Take the screw and insert it to the bottom and tighten that up. Okay, tighten that up, and then okay, that's it. Now let's assemble the charging tube, and you put the front sight onto the charging tube like so. Okay, and then you take the cap, make sure the O-ring's on it, screw that in. Okay, now you take the sling ring. Now you can put the sling on the first hole. And you can tighten that up. Okay, now that's good. Now that's all assembled. I'm going to have to put a little bit of oil on the charging tube. And slide that in. Now I'm going to assemble. There is a place for the screw, and you can tell that small hole on one side and there is a bigger hole on the other side, and you can tell, so that's where the screw goes into. And then on across it's just basically an open hole, so this is where it goes in like this. Okay, and then that screw goes on top. So you see this hole right up here, that's where that hole lines up with, like that. Okay, now at the same token you have to slide the cocking handle in and make sure the hole lines up, and then there is a very tiny screw. You slide that in, and then okay, it's in. Make sure it slides properly. Okay, now I'm ready to slide the charging tube onto the barrel. I'm going to have to put the spring in. The barrel goes into the barrel hole like that, and the spring goes on top. And you slide it in, and you see this part right here, that goes into here. I have a better, there's two screws on the top of the barrel block, but you only need the front screw. You don't need the second one. Okay, so you push this in all the way in. Okay, let's make sure it's lined up properly. It's not lined up properly. There it is. It's moving. It's going in. There it is. It's finally got in. Okay, so now I'm going to take the, where is that screw? the barrel block screw. There's one. Oh, there it is. And you screw just one of them. The front one, like that. Okay. It's not going in. It's because I'm not all the way in. There it is. After you tighten the top singular screw, go to the bottom and tighten the two at the bottom. Okay, so now the charging tube is completely in. Test it out to make sure it works. It does. Alright, so now I'm going to install the Magpul handguard will not fit perfectly without modification. So what you need to do first is about 5/8, maybe 3/4 of an inch cut right there, and about 2 millimeters deep on either side. As you can see, this used to be straight. That's what you need to do. And then there's this lug in the middle at the bottom. You need to shave some of that off. Don't shave too much. Okay, but once you did that, it's minimal. Now this handguard comes with a cross screw, okay, and it's has Loctite on it already. So once you did this modification, it should just slide in like this. Okay, and the reason for that modification is so it would go over the receiver. Okay, see that? See that? Without it, it would be off at an angle, but now it looks pretty good. Now I'm going to put this cross pin in, and put the screw on the other side, and then you need 2 Allen wrench, one on each side. Once that's secured, it's pretty solid. That's your Magpul SL handguard. Minor modification. Okay, now once that is done, then you put in the fake suppressor. Actually, before you put the handguard, there is a set screw right in here, which you should tighten if it's loose. Okay, that's what I should have done first. Here's a, you slide that in. I actually can't do it now because it's, well, actually I could, but it'd be a lot easier without the SL handguard. Okay, so that's it. Okay, next slide in the grip. Like that. Pull back on the grip so this could go in. Like that. Slide it forward. Put the pin in. Okay, take the bolt stop right here, take the Allen wrench, stick it into the hole like this, Okay. Take the receiver, put it upside down, and stick it in like this. See, and that's the, you can use that to slide the bolt stop in and then pull it out. Next, put the screw with the washer on the same Allen wrench and then stick it right through the bolt stop. Okay. I bet you not too many people know about that Allen wrench on the bolt stop. Okay, so that goes in like that. After that, put the side folder, slide it in. It's a little stiff, but you can do it. There it is. Now put the pin there it is. And I'll grab a magazine. Here, I got a magazine. Stick that in. And it's done. It's the DIY 522 conversion kit. Looks pretty good, don't you think? Yes. Let's try it out. It works. Do the MP5 flap. There it is. Don't slap it too often. This is made out of alloy, it'll break. Okay, let's try it out. Selector works. There, looks great. This is the DIY do-it-yourself conversion kit. Thank you very much for joining me, and please subscribe.